Morning, beautiful friends. I thought I'd do another quick video on another yoga pose that I see quite a few misalignments in yoga, and that's Warrior One. Now, some of my teachers overseas have decided not to even teach Warrior One much. Others are really pedantic with their cueing. So I just wanted to talk to you a bit about that. So we find Warrior One is a lot wider stance on our mat. So our feet are at least hip distance apart. We need the femur bones to be into our hip sockets. So if we're standing really close like that, they're in on an angle. So try and stand with our feet hip distance apart. And then we try and keep that distance apart as we step back. So we don't have to step back as long as we would in a Warrior Two pose, and I'll look at Warrior Two in another day. But we want to keep that width on our mat between our legs in Warrior One, and that back foot faces somewhat forward. So not necessarily directly straight on forward, and definitely not at an angle, just somewhat forward. And then we want to try and bend into that front leg. Now, if your calves are tight like mine, you'll feel this in your back leg because you're trying to push down through that back calf. We want to sink into that front leg. What we don't want to do is try and wrench our pelvis around to the front. We don't necessarily need those hip bones to be facing straight on. Just let the pelvis settle where the pelvis feels comfortable in relation to where our leg bones are. So from here, my pelvis is facing that way, and that's perfectly fine. From here, we can turn through our thoracic spine, which is designed to turn and rotate. So we can move that forward. So we are facing forward, but my hip bones are not necessarily facing forward. And if our shoulder's okay, we can reach our hands up. If they're not, we can bring our hands into heart center. As far as our legs go, we're pushing down through that front foot. We're not sagging into this front hip. As always, when our legs bend, we want to draw that hip bone in. And even imagine perhaps that we're pushing something away with that leg to engage our glute med muscles. So it's nice and strong. We're not just hanging out here. You can see the difference if I'm just hanging out here and relaxed, as opposed to when I activate my muscles and hold myself steady in the pose. So drawing that femur bone back into our hip socket. Imagine like we're pressing something against our knee here to activate the external rotators on that leg. Back leg's still active. We're pushing down. Again, we're not sagging into it. We're pushing down nice and deep, and still think about drawing the hip bone in on that leg as well. So nice and strong. It's a warrior pose. We're nice and strong. Maybe a slight pelvic tuck. I don't like to say pelvic tuck because we see people do this, and we don't actually want to do that. It's going to wrench our back, but we don't want this big sway back happening either. Just a gentle pelvic tuck will activate those lower abdominals. So just a nice firmness through the bottom part of our abdomen there. So I'm nice and strong, and I can stay here, albeit with a little bit of pain from the strength in my front leg before I reach my arms up. Warrior One. Thank you.